Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Super Sports Central. Today, we're going to be predicting the starting quarterback for every NFL team in 2023. So, going division by division, starting off with the AFC East, and starting off with the most obvious of that division, the Buffalo Bills. It is extremely obvious. Josh Allen, he signed a 6-year extension a few years ago. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and he's obviously the Bills' starting quarterback. Moving on to the Jets. So, I got Jimmy Garoppolo for the Jets. They definitely need a quarterback because it's extremely obvious Zach Wilson is not their guy, and not the player they thought they drafted at number 2 overall. And they really need a solid quarterback because outside of quarterback, their roster is actually pretty good. Now, I definitely see the Jets trying to get Aaron Rodgers, and I also think they're going to go after Derek Carr, who's, I think, a more realistic option than Rodgers, although I do think Rodgers could realistically end up with the Jets. But I think they're going to have to settle for Jimmy Garoppolo. He's not terrible, but he's a game-managing quarterback, has trouble staying healthy. But I have the Jets with Jimmy Garoppolo in 2023. Moving on to the Patriots, so I got Mac Jones there. So I don't know if the Patriots are sold on Mac Jones, because he is definitely their starting quarterback, I think, for this upcoming season, unless they end up trading him, but I don't think that happens. He no longer has Matt Patricia as his offensive coordinator, so I definitely think some competent play calling will help him. But I do think Mac Jones will get another season at quarterback for the Patriots, but if he's not good, I could definitely see them moving on very soon. And the final AFC East team, we've got the Dolphins. It's Tua. So the Dolphins have said Tua is their quarterback. I'm going to believe them. Now, he has struggled staying healthy with concussions, but when he's healthy, he's been pretty good. So I think will be the quarterback for the Dolphins in 2023. Moving to the AFC North, first team there, we've got the Bengals. Another fairly obvious one, Joe Burrow. There's no reason for him not to be starting. Top 5 quarterback in the NFL, and it's obviously the Bengals starting quarterback. Moving on to the Browns, so I think they'll start Deshaun Watson. So he was awful this season after coming back from a suspension, but they guaranteed him $230 million. So they're not going to just pay him all that money to sit on the bench. He's going to play for them, and they're going to play the guy they paid. Next team is the Steelers, so another pretty easy one. Kenny Pickett, he was solid as a rookie, and if the Steelers can upgrade the offensive line and give him some time to throw, I think he can definitely take a big step in his second year. And the final North team, we've got the Ravens. So Lamar Jackson is a free agent, but the Ravens need to bring him back, and I think they will. The offense is designed around Lamar Jackson with what he can do with his legs, and he makes their entire offense and really their entire team. Because this past season, with Lamar Jackson, the Ravens averaged 25 points a game and were 7-4. Without him, they were 3-4 and averaged 14.5 points a game, and that includes the playoff game against the Bengals. So the Ravens need to bring Lamar Jackson back. I think they will, and they should probably just franchise tag him to avoid him hitting the open market. And I would be pretty shocked if Lamar Jackson is not a Raven next season. Next team is the Colts, so I've got C.J. Stroud for the Colts. The Colts love to get their rental veteran quarterbacks, but I think that finally stops this year's draft as they draft C.J. Stroud. They hired former Eagle offensive coordinator Shane Steichen as their head coach. He has a great track record of developing young quarterbacks, and all signs point to the Colts drafting their franchise quarterback this April. That just comes down to C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Will Levis. I'm going to say C.J. Stroud to the Colts. Moving on to the Jaguars. So this is another fairly obvious one. Trevor Lawrence took a big step in his second season under a coach that actually knew what he was doing, and he should continue to get better, and he is the quarterback for the Jaguars. Up next is the Titans. So I think they're going to stick with Ryan Tannehill, but I don't really think Tannehill's all that great. They could get out of Tannehill's contract by cutting him this offseason, but if they do that, who could they possibly play at quarterback? Malik Willis isn't ready, and they didn't even want to play him this past season, and opted to go with Josh Dobbs instead. And they're not really in a position to draft one of the top quarterback prospects, so I think the Titans will end up sticking with Tannehill because they don't have anyone else to play quarterback. But if they can find someone else, I definitely think they will cut him, get out of their contract. But I think Tannehill is the quarterback for the Titans in 2023. The next team is the Texans, so I'm going to go Bryce Young. The Texans have almost guaranteed themselves a quarterback at the number 2 overall pick. It's clear Davis Mills is not their franchise guy. They have a great quarterback class. They have the 2nd overall pick. There's no reason not to draft their franchise quarterback at number 2, and I have that being Bryce Young from Alabama as the Texans quarterback next season. In the final division, in the AFC, we've got the AFC West, starting off with the Chiefs. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes just won MVP, won a Super Bowl, and Super Bowl MVP. He's the best player in the NFL. There's absolutely zero reason for the Chiefs to not start him next season. Moving to the Broncos, so their starting quarterback will be Russell Wilson. So as bad as he was this season. They extended him before the season started and are paying him over $200 million. They're now stuck with him for the next 5 seasons. Now, the good news is, I don't really think it can get any worse. We saw, I think, rock bottom this year for Russell Wilson and the Broncos. They hired Sean Payton, a fantastic coach, and I definitely think he should be able to help Russell Wilson and turn around the Broncos, so Russell Wilson will remain the starter for the Broncos. Moving to the Chargers, another very easy one, that is Justin Herbert. So he's a fantastic quarterback for the Chargers. I don't think the pressure is on Justin Herbert this season. He's proven himself as a good quarterback in the NFL. The pressure is on Brandon Staley, their head coach, because he has not proven himself. While Justin Herbert has proven himself as a very, very good quarterback in the NFL. So Justin Herbert is the Chargers starting quarterback. And the final AFC team is the Raiders. So the Raiders, they're in a very interesting spot at quarterback. They've released Derek Carr, and they were supposed to get Tom Brady before he retired. Now I can see them going after 2 players, Jimmy Garoppolo or Aaron Rodgers. I said Garoppolo to the Jets before, so that leaves Aaron Rodgers. And I don't really think Rodgers goes back to Green Bay. I think the Raiders make the big-time trade with the Packers, reunite Devontae Adams with Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders in 2023. Moving to the NFC team, starting off in the East, first team there is the Giants. So I have them sticking with Daniel Jones. So Daniel Jones showed this season he is good enough for the Giants to want to bring him back. Now, Daniel Jones did switch agents, and he now wants $45 million a year, which is absolutely absurd. But I do think the Giants will bring him back, whether they franchise tag him or convince him he's not worth $45 million a year. But I would be pretty surprised if Daniel Jones is not the Giants starter next year. Next team is the Cowboys. It's Dak Prescott. So he wasn't great this season. He led the league in interceptions and didn't even play the entire season. But there's no reason for the Cowboys to not have Dak Prescott be their starting quarterback. The next team is an interesting team. That is the Washington Commanders. So I thought about this one for a while, and it may come as a surprise to you guys, but I'm going to go with the young quarterback Sam Howell. And I'm going to say he's going to end up starting. We saw what he can do in Week 18 against the Cowboys. It was actually pretty good. But I could also see the Commanders bringing in some experienced quarterback. Maybe someone like Andy Dalton. Yes, they do have Carson Wentz, but he's not going to be their starter. But the Commanders definitely need to address quarterback. Whether it's going with Sam Howell, finding someone new, they need a quarterback badly. And the final NFC East team, we've got the Eagles. This is super obvious. Jalen Hurts, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, an MVP caliber player, showed what he can do with his arm and his legs. He should be in for a big payday ahead, and he's definitely the Eagles starter moving forward. Next team is the Packers, so this should be fairly obvious. After I said Rodgers leaves, it's Jordan Love. So the Packers took Jordan Love in the first round for a reason, and after he sat behind Aaron Rodgers for a few seasons, I think he finally gets his chance, because they did not draft Jordan Love in the first round to sit on the bench for his entire NFL career. The next team is the Vikings, so they'll keep Kirk Cousins. I've heard people say the Vikings should move on from Kirk Cousins, but he's been good, not amazing. But I don't think there's any reason to believe he's not going to be the Vikings quarterback in 2023, but I could see them maybe moving on after this upcoming season. The next team, we've got the Bears, so their quarterback, Justin Fields. So the Bears, they have the first overall pick in a tremendous quarterback class, so it's going to be very tempting to pick another quarterback, but Justin Fields showed this season what he can do. He's a dynamic quarterback with what he can do with his legs. And give him an offensive line, give him some weapons, he could be a really good quarterback for the Bears. But I think, as tempting as it may be to go after another quarterback, I think they definitely should and will stick with Justin Fields. Next team is the Lions, so they're going to keep Jared Goff. He's a good quarterback. He's not great, but he's solid, and I think he'll be the quarterback for the Lions in 2023. The next team is the New Orleans Saints, so I have them getting Derek Carr. They have Jameis Winston still. Andy Dalton's a free agent. Now, Dalton wasn't awful, but I don't think he's going to come back, and he's really not what you view as a top-tier starter in the NFL. Really not even any of the top tiers. And Jameis Winston, sort of same situation. He's okay. He's nothing amazing. And I'm going to go, as I said, Derek Carr. He almost got traded there. Now I'm going to say he goes to New Orleans in free agency. So Derek Carr starts for the Saints in 2023. The next team is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So this was another one where it was very difficult to figure out. So obviously Tom Brady retired, but I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield for the Buccaneers. So the Buccaneers do have Kyle Trask, but I do think they would need to bring in a quarterback no matter what, because Kyle Trask is the only quarterback rostered. So I bring in Baker Mayfield, and I have him starting for the Buccaneers. The next team is the Falcons. They're going to go with a second-year quarterback, Desmond Ridder. So I think the Falcons start Ridder. They started him at the end of the season, and he wasn't terrible. And I think they're going to continue to play him. But something I could see the Falcons doing is bringing in Matt Ryan in sort of a backup role. I could definitely see them doing that. The next team is the Panthers. So I have their starting quarterback being Will Levis. So they have the 9th overall pick, putting them in a good position to draft a quarterback, someone like Will Levis if he doesn't go higher. But they also have Matt Corral, who they took in, I believe it was the 5th round last year. Now, Corral broke his foot in the preseason and never got to play. So the Panthers could end up seeing what they have with Matt Corral, but I think they're going to go with the high upside quarterback in Will Levis at number 9. And getting into the final division, we've got the Cardinals. Kicking off the NFC West. So Kyler Murray is obviously the Cardinals' starting quarterback. Now, he has a torn ACL and will not be ready for the start of the season. So I'm going to go ahead and say the Cardinals bring in Jacoby Brissett. And because Jacoby Brissett, he's been a fantastic backup quarterback and could easily be a starter for a number of NFL teams. In fact, this past season when he started the first several games for the Browns, he was actually pretty good. So there's no reason for the Cardinals not to put him in a similar situation where he'll start the first however many games of the season. The next team is the 49ers, so this is a pretty tough one, whether it's Trey Lance or Brock Purdy. So we really have no idea if Brock Purdy will be ready for week 1 because of his elbow that got destroyed in the NFC Championship game against the Eagles. But I'm going to go with Trey Lance because we don't know if Brock Purdy will be ready, and I don't think the 49ers will give up on a player so quickly in Trey Lance, who they spent 3 first-round picks for. So I have Trey Lance starting, but it could easily be Brock Purdy. But I would be pretty surprised if it's not one of those two. The second to last team is the Seahawks. So I have them re-signing Geno Smith. He's coming for breakout season with the Seahawks. Is a free agent. He said he wants to go back to Seattle. The Seahawks want to bring him back. I think they do that. And Geno Smith returns to the Seahawks. And the final team is the Rams. So their quarterback will be Matthew Stafford. The Rams were a mess this past season, but they extended Stafford. And he's still under contract. He'll be their starter for the upcoming season. So those are my predictions for who will be starting for every NFL team in 2023. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn on notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible. Let me know in the comments if you agree, if you disagree, and why. I'd love to hear your thoughts of who you think will start for some interesting teams such as the Commanders and essentially all of the NFC South. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn on notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible, and I will see you in the next video.